Nobody's listening, right?
Hi, Andy.
Hello.
Is anybody listening?
Yeah, first review. I love Bearsy, 5 stars.
Oh.
St. Monica did not disappoint with her rec. This podcast makes the drive into work more enjoyable with their conversation and constant giggling. With a world full of seriousness and angst, this podcast is a happy escape from it all. From A. Kerner. Thank you.
I'm actually like tearing up.
Wow.
That's so sweet.
I was thinking, I'm really trying to figure out my buddy Bearsy, like what we can do. Let's just say maybe I'm starting or going to start dabbling with TikTok and Bearsy, but I don't know what that looks like. But I did think, I just want to warn people out there, if on the Nobody's Listening Instagram feed, you see that we've gone live on the Instagram feed, that's Bearsy just hopping on to answer questions. Which I thought that just sounded like something fun for Bearsy to do.
That is so fun.
So I just want to give you a heads up. If you see that this week after this podcast drops, if you see us go live, it is not Elizabeth and I going live on IG.
We only do that on Patreon, really.
And we do, and that is super fun because we do that
so
together.
Fun. On patreon.com/totallylame. And thank you to our new patrons.
But I think Bearsy is going to go live just to answer some questions. I'm just trying to think. I've already started playing around just a little bit, just trying to have a little fun. What's so hard about Bearsy is it has so much to do with how he interacts with all of us.
Yes.
But I don't want I don't want our kids in any videos.
But their voices could be.
But yeah, maybe that's the ticket. But go on.
I said this to you. This is one of those like life's too short things. And actually, you and I have been having a lot of conversations lately about making choices with your time that align with your goals.
Yeah.
I can't.
This is a horrible example.
But I don't know. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I know in my deepest heart to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes I'd say about once every couple years, I get a business idea.
Oh, yeah, you do.
That I'm like, the back thingy, like 6 years ago, I had a business idea and I actually have a book like filled with pages of like pre-business plan stuff about the stupid back thing that I use to this day.
You were talking about this hardcore around this time last year. I mean, this is an idea you've had for a long time, but I felt like you were
about like a cabin business I was going to start. I mean, all of these ideas live and they live and it's not for nothing because it taps into something creatively. Mm-hmm. But each and every one, I'm like, this is it. I'm going to be the Oprah of this thing and take it all.
The Oprah of this thing? Give me an example.
Meaning like the Elon Musk of this thing. Like whenever I start a business.
Wait, hold on. You just went from being the Oprah of something to the Elon Musk.
Meaning like the most successful. Like the like no one has ever launched a back product that is going to take the world by storm in such a way. I'm so overly confident, which is hilarious. God,
that's great though.
But I recently, we're starting to do this, like do a family podcast just for ourselves to have a podcast like time capsule.
Yeah, not to post publicly.
But just so every year with our kids we're going to sit down and have a fun conversation. We can go back and be like, this is what they sounded like then.
Do you think we'll do one episode a year or should it be biannual?
I think it should be biannual.
I like every 6 months a little check-in.
But I'm already so obsessed with this idea that I was like, what if we could turn this into a business and blah, 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 which is so silly because we don't have time. This is a very long way of getting to. Let me just finish this and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Bearsy, so the podcast business, which I started thinking about last week, and I don't really feel like it's something we'll put time and energy into right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, that is a risky business in many ways. I can't for sure feel like it's going to be this wild success.
Yeah.
Bearsy, I know in my bones that if you and I stopped our other careers and committed full time to making Bearsy, like, what's that called? A brand, basically. Like, we'd have Bearsy books, we'd have Bearsy movies, we'd have, I mean, it's nice because I would write Bearsy movies, so I guess I'd still be doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know it could be so massively successful. I just know it. But is it? I don't think that. I mean, you and I love what we do so much that we can't really step away to make this Bearsy thing happen.
The other I'll hear some problems with Bearsy. Bearsy is Bearsy, okay, and he's made by some
toy company.
So that's one hurdle I see.
Yeah, I'd have to make can't make a new Bearsy.
No, I was already thinking that, and then I think there's some hurdles, but I don't think we need to worry about that. I do think my time. I was like, you should just spend 5 minutes a day putting up a Bearsy video, like making it so easy. Like, not. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know, but also, Andy.
Yeah.
Sorry if this is too much. You had a big music sync this week in The Secret Lives of College Sex Girls or whatever.
Yeah.
What's that show called?
I don't know. College sex girls.
Which is a very popular show.
Yeah.
And you often have these cool things happening in your actual career that you don't post about. You don't take the time. And that's something that actually, as much as you dislike this being the truth, you gotta post that shit because then people know oh, this perception, unfortunately, even if it's not pure, does matter in this industry quite a lot. If you saw the article about that Grey's Anatomy writer who lied about every fucking thing in her life, perception goes a long way, even if it's true or not. And you have these true huge wins and you consistently get so much validation of what an amazing music producer you are, and you don't post it. And yet here you are going, I'm going to spend 5 minutes a day, which I'm not against.
Yeah.
But it's just an interesting thing to look at.
I'll tell you the big difference in it.
Okay. Do you feel like it's bragging when you post?
No, I mean, I think there's part of that. There's also just this block of I don't even know how to present it. There's also this thing I think as a producer that I'm super proud of that song
with Ophelia K. Who's, I have to say again, such a phenomenal artist. And you and her wrote an EP called Cinco, probably 6 years ago.
We wrote an EP called Chaos Cave. There's a song called Cinco on it.
The first song is Cinco, then Killing Me, then I Love My Lawyer.
I think that's the song that's in.
That's the song that just
got
synced. Sex Girls. I truly, to our listeners, go find this EP. It is so fucking amazing, and I go back to it time and time again.
Yeah.
And
so
there you go.
No, but I'm super proud of that music and that EP, but I also think, and this is just a window into my brain, and also other producers, I follow my peers on Instagram and whatnot. It's also that's a song that came out 5 years ago, and I'm not the artist. I'm just a guy that produced and wrote the song.
You co-wrote the song and you composed this amazing
I
music.
should be better about I should be better about it.
But I do
that's I should have just posted it on a story the day it happened.
Yeah. And then you have to put your story into one of the those little bubbles at the top.
Yes, that is something. Yep. Just thinking out loud. I've done that kind of with my discography. There should be a sync one because I have a lot of cool TV things that have happened.
You consistently get them.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But can I get back to Bearsy real quick?
Obviously.
Here's the difference. That I was talking to someone in my industry yesterday about this. I would kill. And if there's anyone out there that knows me or has an idea, if there was some sort of content that I could be putting out daily that wouldn't take up that much of my time, that had to do with my profession as a music producer, which I'm so horrible at letting the world know is what I do, I would love it. But it's the people that I've seen that do sort of figure that out, then their whole shtick is they're not even producing for artists anymore. They're just making clever TikTok videos on how to make this kick drum sound awesome, right? And I'm like, but then you're spending hours a day making that for
Yeah.
it's like it's this
You don't
tunnel.
want it to take away from what you actually do.
Right. And not that that's an excuse, because I still would love to figure out something cool and creative. But here's the Bearsy thing. I'm like, if I can just do it on my phone, I'm not editing stuff. It's not getting transferred to the computer. If it's 5 minutes out of the day that I have fun talking to my best friend, that seems like so little of an investment.
Yes.
And also something that I'm like, if you did do that once a day, I can't see a downside of it, except maybe, a year from now being like, bro, you're crazy. You have a lot of footage of you talking to an inanimate bear.
But I love it, and I love the character you've created, and it is a creative outlet. And also, it's something that brings our family so much joy and has, we're going on 4 years with Bearsy now.
Yeah.
So I support this. I just think it's kind of a funny thing given the context of what we've been talking about in terms of time, but there is time spent that takes you away from your goals. I don't think this is that. I think this is like a creative outlet that.
But Lord knows I have done other things like that I feel like has taken away from my goals.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. I was talking to someone yesterday about this, and I don't know. There is this allure of, I think, all this social media stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's two things at play. One, there's just the allure of it and seeing people find their voice and find success with it. But the other thing is there really is value in putting yourself out there in some sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So it's just something I think about. But anyways,
there's also, by the way, I think that there's a misconception. Actually, that article about the ballerina farms thing was really interesting because it goes into, I think there's this idea, I don't want to sound, okay, I'm just going to establish this. You and I have worked very hard to be in a place where we get to do what we love and get paid for it.
Yeah.
We're not I'm not Mike White and you're not
Timbo.
Who's Timbo?
Timbaland.
But, we get by. And that's a huge, huge win for us.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been this way. It's a lot of hard work, and there's plenty of disappointment in the future for both of us, I'm sure. But just establishing we're very lucky to do this. I think a lot of people try to win at the social media thing in order to get to do things like what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's a stepping stone. Whereas we're looking at it going, the ballerina farms thing put such an interesting kind of highlighted. I'd never realized this, how hard it is for influencers to actually make a living. And then also the mind fuck of then you're always feeling like everything has to be content, which sounds horrible.
Mm-hmm.
People with 2 million followers aren't making millions and millions of dollars. It just doesn't translate like that. They're
I think
they're
some
making
are that
some
are
money.
savvy, but again, it's
Maybe.
it's to a level. It's a grind that's crazy.
It's a grind that's crazy, and then it gets incredibly morally and ethically questionable when people's kids are involved. I think,
So how does that factor in with Bearsy Bear?
Well, I don't think our kids are going to be. You're not going to see our kids.
You would never see kids,
which is a
great
huge difference.
But you think hearing voices is okay?
Well, look at Ryan's World. Now, no judgment.
Yep. He had a fucking blimp in the Macy's Day Parade.
Actually, I'm going to judge a little. I think it's really fucked up. I think maybe they are the exception. And what I'm talking about, also for anyone who's what the fuck are all these people talking about as a whole? If you go to our Instagram page, which is at Nobody's Listening Right, you'll see a video of Bearsy, which we discussed in our Thanksgiving episode, which is a stuffed animal that Andy's attributed a personality to that we all find very delightful. Ryan's World is this YouTuber. Him and it's really his parents are YouTubers who, I'm going to say the word, exploited him as this adorable little kid. I'm sure
Mhm.
it all started very innocently. I don't think they set out to exploit him. But now, knowing what we know about this world,
I cannot wait for the documentary whenever it happens on this family.
exactly,
It's
like
will be unreal.
they have this adorable little boy, but who's now like going through puberty, and the bar is so high. They make millions and millions. They have toy lines at everywhere. They have like, they're a huge, huge brand. And there's the kid's name, Ryan, is the brand. It's Ryan's World.
Yeah.
And I hope that those parents, I mean, they seem like very loving parents.
Are you getting them conflated with that other awesome family that has the dad, Jillian Tube, and
No. I mean, that's another family that's like that. But like where the kids, I'm not conflating them. Trust me.
Okay.
I know Ryan and his parents.
Okay.
Like the back of my hand.
Because let me just say this. I'm more worried about Ryan and his family than the other family.
Than Jillian and her brother.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. There's something that just feels like this train left the station, and I do feel like it got too big for the parents to stop it.
Don't you also?
But the price that this kid is likely paying is large. And I think, we look at a lot of our child stars and how fucked up things were for them, and we didn't realize it until the memoir comes out when they're 30, and it's like, oh, actually everything was horrible. And I fully wish none of I would trade all of it to have had like a normal, healthy childhood where I wasn't making money. And you and I have said this time and again. Now, it doesn't look like it's anything we're going to have to worry about, luckily.
Yeah.
But God, I hope our kids are not so good at something that they can start making money from it.
As kids. Okay, wait.
As adults, God, I hope that reverses.
Wait, okay. Let's just go back a few seconds on the Ryan's World stuff. It's going to be so interesting to see these YouTube kids stars.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a particular genre where these kid stars became famous for making like toy review videos, and then
showing candy and
and then that built out into bigger things, shows on Nickelodeon, toys that are in Walmart and Target, a blimp in the Macy's Day Parade, and a huge level of fame, and when we're talking about Ryan's World, I think multiple years he's been the top YouTuber, which is bananas.
They're making probably
hundreds of millions.
Yeah, hundreds of millions. Yeah. And the other thing is he has to act like it's for little kids, and for him to feel like he's aging out.
Well, that's I haven't seen any of the new videos, but that's a really interesting part where I do feel like there's the other family, and I feel bad that we can't give shout out to it, because there's also the dad that I think is so funny because he has his own like singing channel, and he does like opera singing, which is amazing. And he's like this super buff dude. What the hell is that family?
Jillian, what's it called?
Jillian's the sister, but the brother had the bigger channel starting.
Jillian.
If you do Jillian Tube, it'll come up.
Oh, I just had such a brain. I was looking up Jillian Tube.
Maybe they're just the Tube family. Anyways.
Okay, Evan Tube.
Evan Tube, that's what it was, yeah.
Jillian Tube.
And then there's like the Tube family, probably.
Okay. I don't think their last name is Tube.
But I think that's what they branded their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I cannot believe we're talking about this. What's so funny about this is like, this is not our reality anymore. Thank God.
We're so out
this
of
is
it.
Like when you have like 4 and 5 year olds, and we're a little bit out of this. But okay, this is what I wanted to say. One, it will be so fascinating to see what the repercussions are on these uber famous kids. Similar to, we think of all the cliches, whether it's your Drew Barrymore, Macaulay Culkin, big child stars that grow up in the limelight. If there will be any similarities, sad stories, positive stories, who knows? But what's also crazy about this wave of child fame is for every one of these big kid stars, right?
Yeah.
Which it is a hard job. The parents behind this are videoing constantly. Somebody's editing. Like, it is a grind.
Can you imagine, like, even us doing this podcast being like, okay, kids, now we have to podcast, like, the little time that we have outside of school. It's just,
absurd.
It's intense.
Absurd. So, but for as much work that is, and for however handful amount of these big stars that there are, there's probably like at least 100 of them. Not as big as Ryan's World, but like with millions and millions of followers on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
There are thousands, if not millions, of other kids and their parents trying to do this.
Oh, God.
And
that's upsetting.
Is a hard pill to swallow. But it also makes me think of, has it always been that way? Like for kid stars, have there always been all those parents like trying to do it? But now it gives these parents more of a like vehicle. Like, no, we got to make a YouTube video every day.
Mm-hmm.
But for those ones where it's not going to connect and happen, that's almost a sadder story that we don't get to see unfold.
Yeah, well,
Do you know what I
okay.
mean?
Do you remember there was that documentary that actually our podcast, swear to God, put it on the map back in the day?
Oh, we shouted it out a few times. Yeah,
The
yeah.
Hollywood Complex.
Yeah,
It was
totally,
like all of a
totally.
sudden everyone was watching the Hollywood Complex after we talked about it ad nauseum, and other podcasters who we're friends with were talking about it, and I truly feel like we helped give it some buzz. But that was kind of about that world of parents who like uproot their families
Yeah.
from Oklahoma, and there was a apartment, like short-term housing complex near the Universal lot. It was like in between all the lots in LA, called Oakwood. And
It's still there, just rebranded, I think.
it's rebranded as like the Aria or something like
Yeah.
that. Now, dark little thing. I don't even know if I mentioned this back then,
Yeah.
which is that it's where my dad died.
Yeah.
Like, he was playing tennis at the Oakwood apartment complex tennis courts
Yeah.
when he perished.
Yeah.
But that's because when he first moved out to LA, why are you clicking on that? You don't need to edit that.
No.
Why are you clicking to edit
I
it?
have like what much weirder reasons to maybe edit it that I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay.
But we're probably not going to edit it. Most likely everyone's going to hear this whole thing.
Okay.
Okay.
But anyway,
Oh, by the way, last week I left a big unedited part in because I thought it was really funny.
oh,
Because remember last week we had to do like
was-
6
was
huge
it
edits
when I
because our
yelled at
phone.
you about the building?
Yeah, or no, it was about the alarm.
The
And yeah. It's when I got really upset and you're like, calm down. I kept it in because it was funny. Go on. Sorry.
Okay, so there was this documentary called The Hollywood Complex. It's all about these parents who bring these kids. They all stay at the Oakwood, and it's such. I want to go back and watch it again, but it's about these like families uproot their whole lives. They put all of their life savings. They go into massive debt, putting all of their hopes and dreams on this kid booking a pilot. Now, pilot season doesn't even work the same way anymore, so it's
Yeah.
not like there's this time of year where everyone would like descend upon LA and people now audition via tapes. So this doesn't even,
Yeah.
it's like a bygone era.
Yeah.
But it was really fucked up watching. I mean, the pressure these kids felt. Some of them loved to do it and wanted to do it. And it did feel like, okay, their parents are like supporting their dreams in a way that seems maybe unhealthy.
Yeah.
Some kids, though, you could tell did not want to do it. Like, and the parents, it was kind of, and I'm imagining that's going to be true for all of what you're saying, these YouTubers.
Yeah.
And the other thing the documentary did, which I found so eye-opening, is there's a seedy underworld of Hollywood that I don't see anymore because I'm not in that world. I saw it when I started out, like
Yeah.
as a 20-year-old trying to act, couldn't get representation. I didn't look like, I think now acting is open to more types of people. But back then, if you weren't like a blonde, skinny, adorable, gorgeous, like Reese Witherspoon 20-year-old, you
Mhm.
weren't viable as an actor.
Yeah.
And so I had a very hard time kind of
Booking is what they call it.
booking or even getting a chance to book. Like I couldn't even get auditions. And the guy I was dating at the time, who, you know, also was like a very second rate. No, I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. But he touted himself, he was a pathological liar,
Mhm.
as this like huge deal. Like he's going to be the superstar actor and musician.
Yeah.
in reality, he was like auditioning for commercials and things were like nothing against people who are auditioning for commercials.
No, and that's like, that can be a great
it's a great way to make a
too.
living.
Yeah.
But it just didn't align with how he presented himself. And he was like, went to bat for me. He did this huge favor trying to get me an interview with a manager through his manager who didn't want to represent me. She got me an interview with this like pit stained gross guy in like a basement office somewhere. It was all super
garden levels, what they call that.
Garden levels. So sketchy. And I go in and I like talk to him. And then the feedback he gave Vicky, my boyfriend's manager, was she doesn't have any presence, which is a hard thing to hear as a human and an aspiring actor. But that guy, I mean, God bless him, honestly, because watching this documentary, you realize there's this whole seedy underworld that he is 100% a part of.
Yeah.
Trying to exploit the desperation of people trying to become actors in LA.
Yeah.
And in the case of kids, and it's like most people like that are like, yeah, you know what? I want to manage you. But in order to, we're going to need to get new headshots. And I really only use this headshot person and they'll give you a discount. So it's going to be $500 instead of $700. And then this documentary goes to show like, oh, that's that person's wife.
Sure.
Or that manager, quote unquote manager, is getting a cut of the headshot, you know, as whoever they bring to get headshots, they're getting a cut of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole like exploitative money making thing where none of it has to do with actually getting these clients jobs.
It's just people that figured out a way to make a buck off these people.
Yeah.
That's showbiz.
That's showbiz, baby.
But the Oakwood, that's a wild place. That's also the same place, in addition to child actors, that's also the place that like new up and coming actors would stay in. What was that Judd Apatow show on Netflix recently? Love, with who's that? Paul Rust. Love that guy. Yeah. That's where the apartments take place.
Oh,
that's like
it?
that's the same thing. But someone needs to do a documentary just on those apartments, like the stories of that
courts.
place.
Yeah,
and then that your dad could have an arc in it.
Yeah, you know, he lived there when he first moved out here before they got their house, and my dad was like commuting, and so that's how he got in on the tennis league. And I actually remember. I have a very clear memory of being in that apartment. My mom and I were like visiting him. Yeah. And they got into this huge fight. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable.
What do you remember the fight was about?
No. But yeah. But then their marriage really took on and went on the upswing. And they had a very beautiful end of their marriage. As she died and then he died and then this is a great time to plug. I am going to release episode 1.
You are?
Of The One Sure Thing.
Oh shit.
My new podcast is about death and dying on December 19th, which is the anniversary of the day my mom died. And I am very happy to finally do it.
On what day are you doing this?
December 19th.
That's coming up.
I know.
Holy shit.
I'm also more nervous about putting this out there because it is so personal. And I'm like,
that's great.
I have so much insecurity about it. But, you know,
that's awesome.
I'm doing it.
Do it. So, I love that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I just decided
great.
I'm going to do it.
Can I ask you a weird question about your dad and him dying? You said earlier today that he died playing tennis, right?
Yes.
We've never talked about this, I don't think, and it is weird. Are you worried that with my new kind of playing tennis again, are you ever worried?
That you're getting into the sport that took my dad?
Do you ever think of that?
No,
Have you ever crossed your mind?
Well, I feel like we've talked about this.
Have we?
I think I've joked about it.
Because every once in a while it crosses my mind. I'm like, is it weird that this is the physical activity I'm gravitating towards? The one that...
No,
it's pretty rare people dying playing it. It's wild that that's happened.
Yeah, I feel like I remember I posted something because there was an article that was like people that play tennis tend to live 5 years longer than people who don't, or something like that. And I was like, tell it to my dad. But
you did that.
Yeah. No, I mean this so gently.
Yeah.
I don't think you're playing at the degree. Like, my dad played tennis obsessively for decades.
Yeah.
And then he was playing. I feel like the time that he played when he died, first of all, in the greater scheme of things, I think he died when he was meant to die. And I think it was more about like my mom calling him to be with her, and it was his time, and he was heartbroken. He had been drinking a lot. He was really unhealthy, and like, I imagine that this was him being like, okay, I'm going to get back to it. And so it's all of those factors together.
So it didn't cause a death. It didn't say tennis.
Oh my God. Cause of death, tennis.
You know, you make so many jokes like this, and I feel like I might have gone too far this time. Being married to you, I feel like sometimes, every once in a while, I get a license to make a dead person joke.
No, that was delightful. No.
Just so you know, though, tennis, it seems to call me every once in a while, and I go through the phases, and I'm going back in a new phase. My buddy just sent me the info for some pro. Maybe I'm going to do a private lesson. There's maybe some group classes, but I like it. It is fucking fun.
It is fun. I am going to make a prediction.
God damn you.
That you're
going to take the wind out of my sails?
No, I think that you're going to get really into pickleball.
No.
I see that in your future, and I know you're going to be resistant to it. Andy's not doing pickleball. You are going to get into pickleball whether you like it or not. It's gonna call you because it's in the ether.
It's gonna go on its way out, and we are very close to the nucleus of celebrity pickleball. I will say we know multiple people.
Yeah, like one of our best friends are actually literally on the cover of Pickleball magazine.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I'll get swept up in it. It does look fun, but it's not as challenging as tennis.
Promise me one thing. When the opportunity to play. Okay.
Absolutely. No, I would never turn it down. Never turn it around.
Since we're on the subject of health, can I do a major health update?
Yeah, I did.
Did we not finish? We were talking about the parents and the YouTube. I feel like we've moved past that.
I think we definitely have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I have a few health updates. Now, if no one wants to hear them, which I completely understand.
Fast forward 45 minutes.
Exactly. Here we go. Well, great news health update is my back has, I think, gotten better to a degree that I feel very hopeful that I am going to be able to avoid surgery this round.
That's great. I've noticed that. I haven't heard you complaining much. It even seems like you don't have to lay down as much lately.
Yes.
Maybe you're getting into, it must be the PT must be helping a bunch.
I think it's PT, it's massage, It's all of the stuff I've done.
What's the massage?
At PT, she does massage.
Cool. What?
George, he comes over. So, so that's great news. Now, so you have noticed, well, I've been in a bit of a funk, and saying it out loud, it's like, it sounds so stupid, that I went off Wellbutrin probably like a month ago.
Okay.
And Wellbutrin, for anyone who doesn't know, is kind of it's a mood. For me, I use it for depression. It's like a mood stabilizing drug. And I've been on it forever. I've been on it on and off for 15 years.
Okay.
I went off of it during my pregnancies.
Yeah.
I went back on when I could and things like that. But I love it. But I don't love the idea of being on it just forever. And it has always to me been like, this is something I'm going to use to help bridge things. Now, my depression doesn't usually, and I've had depression since said deaths in my life. And I guess for obvious reasons, I also, in tandem do therapy with therapists, and those things have helped me like get through hard times. Hard times, depressed to me, it's not like I'm crying a lot, or what happens is I become very numb, and it feels very hard to find joy in things that I normally would find immense joy in. It just feels like a big old bummer, and I
Yeah.
feel kind of detached from things, and it sucks. And I haven't been feeling that lately, but I have been feeling low self-esteem. I'm about to kind of transition out of working on the show that's been so good to me for 3 years, and even though I am ready to, I feel like, it's been an amazing run, but also ready for a break and stuff. I am going to, miss the people I work with, miss the validation when you do good work. Like, my sense of self is so wrapped up in writing. And so facing that, like, but then on the flip side, there's so much to be grateful for in our lives. And the fact that that's not like glaring, I do feel a lot of gratitude, but I should not feel this kind of low. On top of that, I've gained weight over the last month, really, like slowly over the last like 4 months, I would say, but over the last month. And maybe it's just like the holidays and stuff like that. But it also might be going off this medication.
Maybe.
Then, so that's something to look at. But you said you were very kind to me, and we had a big talk yesterday, and you said you've noticed that I seem quicker to get really frustrated, but then quicker to kind of let go of things. And but there's been a mood shift to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I just go back on the Wellbutrin?
Can you remember in your past times where you've decided to go back on it, and was that a positive thing, or why you decided to go back on it, and why do you decide to get off it, and this and that?
It always is a positive thing. Like, I do love it. I mean, it gives me kind of, it almost is like, at first, I mean, eventually it stabilizes where it doesn't feel like anything. But at first I'm almost hesitant to speak to this, actually, because I don't want to like tout this drug. You know
I know exactly what you mean. I felt weird talking about the ADHD stuff a little bit, of almost being like not wanting to say the exact brands on the podcast and stuff, because everyone reacts differently to them. And yeah. But I think you can speak to the general.
This is just my experience with this. And I tried other drugs that did not work for me as well. And then Wellbutrin and I just have a good thing together. But I have friends where it hasn't been a good thing.
I took it for quitting smoking, and
you hated it.
Hated it, yeah.
Well, to me, it gives me a little pep in my step. Like, at first, it feels like almost like an extra cup of coffee or something, which
oh, interesting, yeah.
I love. But then it stabilizes and it doesn't have that effect. But so starting it is always a pleasant experience.
I see what you're saying.
But I don't know if this is something I should obviously talk to a medical professional about. Like, is it bad? There's something about it just being something I'm on forever.
Yeah.
That feels like, am I not being true to who I am? Am I not facing the like full challenges that this here life is? Yeah. And the reason I went off it is because I felt like I was in such a stable place. Like, we are in such a good place, having gone through, not that the pandemic's over, it's still very much here, but like gone through the, I think, PTSD side of things, of like, oh my God, we're shutting down. Is everyone dying? Like, we know so much more about it now. Our lives are much more normalized. We have such great kids. Everyone's healthy, all this stuff. I need to knock on something. But anyway, I don't know. But then on top of all of this, literally this just happened 2 hours ago. I went to dinner with my 2 dear friends, Michelle and Annie, last night. Shout out to them both, because sometimes they listen. They're wonderful somebodies in my life. And we had a great dinner. It was very long. And this happens to me a lot. When we go out for like a big meal, I I got up to go to the bathroom. We were sitting outside. It was chilly, but I came back and I was like violently shaking. And to the degree that they were like, "Are you okay?" And this happened to us the other night when we went to dinner with Maddie and Sarah, like walking back to the car. And it happens to me a lot. And I don't know if any of our somebodies or nobodies can speak to this. Like, I get really cold and really shaky, and my body tenses. It's really uncomfortable for a while, and then like things settle down, and it's got to have something to do with like digestion and blood or something. But it wasn't until last night when I was like, "Oh yeah, I have that thing, that you shake after you eat a lot." And they both were looking at me like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, everyone doesn't have this thing." And I looked it up today. And it seems like it could be a symptom of hypothyroidism.
Okay.
And it's like, what are the other symptoms?
Okay, what are they?
Weight gain.
Okay.
Check. Dry skin. Check.
No.
Yes.
Where?
I have dry skin.
No, you don't.
I just have dry skin.
I don't think of you as dry skin at all. Well, I got dry skin.
You have like patches of dry skin that's like a condition.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I go to get a facial, it's like you tend towards having very dry skin. That's something.
Okay.
Hair loss, which I feel like I'm losing a lot of hair. Not that it's thinning. I have so much of it, but I've noticed a lot of like shedding.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to have it checked out, but I also want
How do you have it checked out?
I'm going to go to our doctor.
Yeah, and mention it next time.
I'm going to make an appointment. Like, it's resonating that much for me.
Yeah.
I hope it isn't true. Now, I've done this a lot on this podcast where I'm like, I think I have this thing, and then I get it checked out, and I don't.
Yeah.
But I do just want to get it checked, so I'm going to. And then I will keep everyone updated. But I also wanted to bring it up because our listeners are so good sometimes at being like,
yeah.
This thing, that's this thing, that blah, 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 blah. So
does it only happen in cold temperature, though?
No.
Because these last two scenarios you're talking about, I definitely have that thing, and I think I've heard about it. Like when you eat, when you're full, it's much easier to get cold. And then the scenarios you're talking about, it's been cold in LA, and you were outside.
That's
so
true.
I was like, maybe that,
Yeah.
Case closed.
But I don't know about all the other stuff.
It's really funny because I actually had a question about your hair before you even brought this up.
Lay it on me. I have thoughts about my hair.
You have beautiful hair.
Thank you.
This is such a small question, but a mystery I've been wanting to get to the bottom of.
Okay. Nervous.
Our daughter uses Tresemme, loves Tresemme hair care products. Okay? And it has a great smell.
And that's by virtue of just...
On accident. We bought travel
Tresemme.
And she was like, I love this. So we got it. Great. You, I feel like, are a Kiehl's lady.
Yes.
So why do we have a bottle of Pantene Pro V in the shower?
I thought that was yours.
You did?
Yes.
Because every time I look at it, I'm like, why is this here?
I thought that was yours.
Do you think I bought that at some point and don't remember?
Well, I do think I recently cleaned out our medicine cabinet. And there were like 2 bottles of Head and Shoulders.
That's my go-to.
Yeah, well, I guess...
Did you toss them?
They expired in 2018.
Head and Shoulders doesn't expire.
Okay, well.
Okay.
Anyway, you might have bought it and just forgotten about it. But I do use Kiehl's.
Because I loved the idea that you were like, no, I use Kiehl's. I love it, but I do Pantene Pro V once every 2 weeks. And I'd be like, oh, shit.
No.
Like that. Huh. All right. Maybe that's my purchase.
Okay. Any other questions on there?
Oh, let me look up. Because sometimes.
Can I also say something? Because we're talking about me and, my self-esteem, unfortunately, by virtue of life conditioning, I think is tied to, it's hard for me to dig out of a self-esteem slump when I have gained weight. And I wish that weren't the case. And I'm hoping to make it so that that would never be the case for our kids. You know, like trying to be really, I told the story about, you know, Otis. I told the story last night to my friends about Otis being like, ooh, I love my chubby, cute mommy.
Yeah.
And me being like, huh, what? I love my chubby, cute. My mommy's so chubby and cute or whatever. And me being like, she is? And then being like, the cutest and chubbiest. Now, our sweet, innocent son luckily doesn't understand, and it shouldn't, and hopefully it's changing, that the word chubby or the word fat has a negative connotation.
I also don't know if he even understands what it means at all, because as I mentioned to you, the day after that, he said something about me being chubby, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the 6-pack. And I was like, huh? That doesn't make sense.
He just says things, you know, he's figuring the world out and has heard things and said things, and but he could know what it means and not know that it's negative and be saying that to me. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm like a soft, cuddly mommy for him, that's okay. And as long as it's positive. But like my instinct, of course, is to go like, I'm not that. Like, don't call me that. Or to say, like, in comparison to who? Like, get more context for how he thinks that. But all of that is just disordered, fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And so all I can say is like, oh, I love you too, to try to maintain a healthy world for them. But what I brought this up to say is yesterday when we had this like big conversation about where I'm at, the like Wellbutrin, my self-esteem, I mean, I could cry.
You kindly asked me to stop weighing you every day for just through the holidays.
No, I could cry because you were so supportive of me and so on my team and like want the best for me, and also so validating and that I'm beautiful to you no matter what.
Yeah.
And I just feel time and again like I hit the jackpot with you, and I'm
that's
very
the sweetest.
grateful.
I feel the same way.
And after that conversation, I actually felt exponentially better. Like, and you weren't trying to fix it for me. We just like had a conversation about it, and you gave me your perspective, and it really lightened things for me in a way that I'm very grateful for.
Oh, that's sweet.
I think we should call it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I appreciate our somebodies and our nobodies and everyone who's following us on Instagram at Nobody's Listening Right. We obviously bow down to St. Monica, who continues to send us love.
Oh my gosh.
And actually texted me like a bean recipe after last week's episode, which was hilarious.
Oh.
And it looks amazing. And I do Allison Roman's saucy beans. Then also very, very grateful for our patrons at patreon.com/totallylame. Your support justifies us doing this madness every week, and it means a lot to us. So thank you so much.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, and check out Instagram if you want to see some Bearsy vids, apparently.
He's going to go live.
Oh, but those get saved, right?
Oh, I hope so.
I think they do.
But yeah, so just if you have a question
oh my God,
and you see us go live.
Now it's going to be populated by Bearsy vids. It's great.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Good night.
Good night.